Welcome back. I'm Kim Swanson, and we're here at Inside Casting and interviewing Tracy Winters, and she's interviewing me.
I know we have a brief amount of time, but can you demystify the role of the casting director for us a little bit?
You know, the role of the casting director, I find, evolves depending on the client, too. When I have a new client who hasn't used me a lot or I haven't worked with a lot, my role is much more subdued. It's a matter of bringing in a certain number of options. And a lot of times it's playing mind reader, because they'll say, I'm looking for someone who, and then what you bring in is exactly what they asked for, but that's not what they have in their brain. They're not able to communicate what it is they want. So you really kind of have to get in a groove, get to know your client, get to know what it is they like, and what it is, what they mean when they say, I'm looking for someone middle-aged.
Yes.
To some clients, that means 30. To some, it means 50.
Right.
You know, what is middle age to you? And is, you know, having to really kind of decipher that a lot. So that's the initial thing when you're working with a new client, is figuring out what it is they want. And then really my job is to bring as many good options to the table. The best problem I can have is for my client to say, wow, there are so many strong actors here, I don't know who to choose.
Right.
Then I've done my job well.
Right.
That's my job. And then at that point, you know, I can direct them and say, well, I like all of these options, but since this person has to act opposite this person, if you match them up, this is what's going to work well together, and explain why that is, or why when I was in that initial audition process with them, who I felt took direction well, who I thought would gel with the director, and why I think they gel with the director, things like that.
Wow.
So it's really more of a guiding position. We don't really get to say so. We don't get to say, this is who we're going to pick. You know, I don't get to just put people in a role.
I think a lot of people think that you have that power, for lack of a better word.
Right. It's exactly. And it's really the doorway to the people with those that power. You know, and it's our job to kind of eliminate the people we know aren't going to be up to muster for them, and to save them time. Therefore, the casting director really saves money for the production.
Right.
So
then how do you think we can bridge the gap between actor and casting director?
You know, there are so many ways to do it. I think actors forget that when you begin acting, you are now the product. You're no longer a person, and it's so hard to take yourself out of it personally. I know whenever I would audition and didn't get things, I was like, oh, that stinks. I thought I gave such a good read, and I don't get it. Why did they like me? I thought I was so on that day.
Right.
And there are so many things that people don't think about. You have to think of yourself as a product. One of the things, the examples I like to give talent is, if you think about oatmeal, for example. I bet you if I told you I'm going to buy Quaker oatmeal, you know exactly what that container looks like.
Sure I do.
You know what's on the front. You know it's that Quaker, and it's, you know it's
colors,
red. The colors,
the
whole.
looks like,
You know exactly. The minute I say oatmeal, you can picture that.
Right.
That's what an actor has to do for yourself. You have to brand yourself. You have to get yourself to the point that every time I think of someone in this age range, this ethnicity, this sex, this skill set, that your face is the one that pops in my mind. Okay? And in any product, any marketing, the general rule is a client needs to see it 7 times before they buy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you have to think of yourself from a marketing standpoint that you want to get your face in front of them 7, 8 times. Then they're going to start clicking and go, yeah, I like her. It's not necessarily going to be the first time you're in front of that casting director. We see thousands of people. It's those repeat faces that we tend to give more time to. So, yeah, you may be thinking, I'm submitting for things and I'm not being seen, they're not thinking about me, but you want them to see your face as much as possible and as often as possible. So do what you can do to make that happen and kind of brand yourself. You know, everything from headshots being similar in style to your actor slate to, you know, everything you can. You know, if you're doing print work, your comp card, have some similarities there that really kind of brand you. And that will help you get seen more often, because they'll click in, oh, I've seen her before. What did I know her from? And maybe it's just because they saw your name through Actors Access 6 times, and now number 7, they go, oh, why do I keep seeing her face? And then they take the time to read your resume or look at your actor slate or your demo reel, and then you're really in at that point.
Terrific. Do you find that the majority of actors know they're casting?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think they do.
So how can as an actor, how can I, if I really don't know, or let's say I'm mistaken, you know, and it's not so obvious all the time as me thinking I'm a leading actress. Right. It can be more like, I don't know that I'm a box of oatmeal. Right. So what's the best way to help an actor find out? How, if I'm an actor, can I help myself find out what my brand is?
I think one is having a good agent to guide you. If you don't have a good agent, it's harder. Yeah. But I mean, you have to be realistic with certain things. Obviously, I'm not going to audition well as a Hispanic woman, 25 years old. So think about how people around you see you. Are you a mom? Are you your other jobs that we all hate having as actresses?
Right.
What roles did people put you in automatically in life?
Good point.
When you go to the store, how do they perceive you at the grocery store? Are you the high-end lady that they go, oh, here she comes again, she's a pain in the neck? Or are you that sweet, friendly woman? Right. So see how the rest of the world perceives you. It's because that's how, not necessarily casting directors perceive you, but often directors. And,
good point.
I think that casting directors, so many of us do come from an acting background. I think we tend to be more creative, and we like to think outside the box. We like to prove you can do something that people didn't think you could do. Right. But directors don't always have the biggest vision for that. It amazes me. We had a casting where I needed someone to portray a high school principal. The actor was a high school principal by day. Right. Brought him in, and he nailed it. It was a wonderful read. He was wonderful. And he walked out of the room, and the director said, but he doesn't look like a high school principal.
Oh, no.
And I knew he was a principal by day, and they didn't understand that. And I said, why do you say that? And he said, well, because high school principals wear like that, like a cardigan sweater and a shirt. He goes, they wouldn't come in a tie and things. I'm thinking, he came on his lunch break to audition. And I'm thinking, so I called him back and I said, you know what? I said, let me just have him do a slightly different read for you. Let me bring him back. And I really fought for it. And I called myself, okay, when you come in for your callback, wear a cardigan, wear a plain button-down shirt. And they came in, and I said, and also, I want you to comb your hair a little. I gave him like 3 little changes to make, and he came in and I go, he's awesome. And I'm like, it's the same guy,
Wow.
But they just don't get it sometimes. So you really have to lean yourself towards what the director has in their mind. And again, now it's the actor's turn to be the mind reader.
To figure that out, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks again for joining us on Inside Casting. I hope you got a lot of good answers to a lot of terrific questions from Tracy, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.